Welcome to What You Need to Know for Audio Engineers. This is going to be a really quick introduction to audio sources. As audio engineers, this is what we deal with, and it is a requirement, it is essential to understand what are the pieces that we are actually working with when we go to the soundboard and we just see faders. We have to understand what's behind those faders, what's coming from that audio source. And these are all of the sources that we deal with. So microphones, people use microphones as speakers, pastors, MCs, announcements, special events, baptisms, and singers, and the drums, and pianos, and all these different kinds of things. We use microphones for a lot of different things, and there's a lot to think about with microphones. Wired versus wireless, what's the difference there? 48 volts, phantom power, what's the deal with that? Polar patterns, which one do you use for which application? And all these different kinds of things, dynamic versus condenser, and so on and so forth. A lot to talk about with microphones, and we'll do all of that. That'll be the next video in this playlist. After that, we're going to talk guitars. And we're going to try and wrap up all of the guitars, acoustic, electric, and bass guitar. So, there's digital technology versus analog technology, modeling amps versus a real amplifier and speaker, in which case you're using a microphone to mic up that speaker. Active versus passive electronics, do you need a battery in the guitar? Is that battery going to die in the middle of service? Do you need to change that out? Do you need to be aware of that? Yes, you do. And all of the other things that go into guitars, processing guitars, and getting a signal from a guitar. Then we'll talk about keys, and keys is a vast, it's a blanket term. Keys doesn't really mean anything. Keys just means that you're using a keyboard to get a sound of some sort, and that sound could be a piano sound, could be an electric piano sound like a Rhodes or a Worley, or a Mellotron or something like that. It could be a lot of different kinds of sounds that come from an electric piano, or a pad. And synthesizer sounds are a different thing also. There are crossover points between all of these different kinds of sounds, and one commonality, and that's that you're using a keyboard instrument to make all of those sounds. So we'll wrap all of those up in one video as well. We'll wrap things up by talking about multitracks as well. What are multitracks? Where do they come from? How do we get them? By what means do they come from the Ableton computer through the network into the soundboard, and all of these different things. Dante Virtual Sound Card is a big part of that as well, so we'll be talking about that when we talk about multitracks. Anyway, just a quick introduction, and partially just to help me get my thoughts together about what exactly am I going to talk about in all these videos. But we're going to go through all of this in the next couple of videos in this playlist.